Well, good morning, everyone. It's Mary, and it's time for another episode of Monday Morning Leadership Bites. And I actually want to talk about a topic that is actually somewhat sad and depressing. Recently in the news, we had two celebrities, Spade and Anthony Bourdain, take their own lives. And it sparked a lot of debate on social media. People posting posts regarding, hey, I'm here for you. Some posting posts to the national hotline. And it just sparked this whole mental illness debate all over again. And one of the things that I thought about is what happens to Bourdain and Spade's employees? What are they now left to deal with now that their leader, who's such a great personality, is not around? And while we're talking about celebrities, this is true for any leader. Business leaders of well-established companies, small business owners, leaders of organizations that were maybe founded and started by that person. And while it's morbid and sad and depressing to think about, ignoring it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. And I've heard stories, I have not personally dealt with this, but I've heard stories of leaders where someone in their company died and it left them just picking up the pieces, or family businesses just going out of business because the patriarch or the matriarch is no longer available. So business leaders have to plan for the day they're not here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be death either. It could just be illness. It could be other circumstances that prevent them from no longer be part of the day-to-day. A leader has a succession plan. And that's not a replacement plan. That isn't just who fills the shoes when that person's no longer there. It truly is looking at every aspect that that leader's involved in and creating a plan for success. So I have 5 things I would like you to do in the next 30 days if you are a leader and want to take action in this regard. Number 1 is just to list out all the reliances that are dependent upon you specifically as a leader. Are you the one that signs the checks? Are you the one who holds all the contracts? Are you the one with the relationships with the banks and the suppliers? List all those out and start to triage them. What are the most critical? What are the ones that might be hard to be replaced by someone who would just come in day 2, day 3 and be able to pick up? Start with the most critical and work your way down. Number 2, you're going to lay out a plan. The what, the where, the how, both personally and in your business. So what is the plan? What is going to happen? Do you have someone who can take over? Have you prepared someone to take on those relationships? Do they know the accounts? Do they know where the contract? Do they know where the files are at? Do they know where the key to the file cabinet is? These types of things. You create yourself a plan. And this is not a wheel. Those are things that are necessary. But I'm talking about just a practical, tactical, day-to-day plan that you could think about, that what happens when you're no longer around and someone has to pick up the pieces. Number 3, if your team is mature, if your company's mature, involve those key stakeholders, even your family. Let them know what you're thinking, and maybe even possibly have someone that you mentor or bring alongside of you about introduce them to those suppliers and have those moments to coach and model for them what it looks like to run the company. Do it now while you can. It doesn't mean no one's pushing you out. I think there's an aspect of leaders that says that if I hold all this information, I hold all this power and authority, and then they'll always need me. And they will always need you, but you do yourself a disservice, you do your family and your employees a disservice if you don't have a way for your legacy to continue on without you. 4, conduct a fire drill. Now this is going to sound weird, but most times if leaders take vacations, which we're finding lots of research that says that most Americans, let alone leaders, they leave a lot of vacation on the table. And when people do take that time off, they're typically taking the time off when it's the least impactful to the business or any activity that's going on. And what I'm suggesting is maybe occasionally, not all the time, but pick a time that's the most critical and literally remove yourself from the business. We often stay connected as leaders. If someone needs to reach us, they know to be able to send an email or contact someone or call our cell phone, and we'll still be on. But disconnect. You're no longer involved. A month, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, whatever your tolerance is, but find a critical time in which you can remove yourself and see what happens. And this is now, at least when you come back into the business, you could start to shore up the edges a little bit and find a way to actually correct those so that you can add them to your succession plan. And then 5, protect your assets both in the business as well as personally by engaging and talking to a financial advisor. This is very key. It's a key activity if you haven't done it already. Again, there's always, we put these kind of things off because we think we're going to live forever and, oh, I feel fine, but we know tomorrow's not promised. So we've got to figure out those things now as opposed to waiting until it's too late or having an incomplete plan. So involve a financial planner and really talk to them about what your future is, both with the business itself and also too with your personal life. That way your employees, the business, and your family are taken care of well after you've gone. The reason why certain names that are out there exist, like Hewlett Packard, these are actual people. Some other businesses that maybe don't have a person's name, but we think of IBM or we think of GE. These are companies that have been around forever, and that's because there's a plan put in place of what happens when that person is no longer there. And it's sad and it's a depressing thought to think about, but the last thing you want to do is to leave the people that you are in charge of as a leader or your family vulnerable when they're dealing with you no longer being there, and now they have to also pick up the pieces. Because, again, you're a leader, and that's what leaders do. We do the hard job. So I know this was not that happy, cheerful, hey, this is some great advice type video, but it is an important topic to talk about. So do me a favor, as always, provide me your comments, like the video, and there's probably someone that you could share this video with that needs to hear this message. So please do that as well. And thank you for watching the Monday Morning Leadership Bite.